Hi everybody, very quick video today, that's why I'm all handheld with no microphone, but I'm teaching this evening on the man who Jesus heals by spitting in his face. And it's a brilliant story. We're looking through the Gospel of Mark. This is in chapter 8, and it's it's the only time Jesus heals in stages, and it's the only time he checks up on someone to see if they've properly been healed. So what's going wrong here? What does it mean? Why does it happen this way? How do we teach it to teenagers? Well, I'm going to read them verse 22, which is Jesus is approached by these people to heal this bloke. I'm going to ask my room, right, what do you expect to happen? And I'm assuming I'm going to get some response to for expecting Jesus to heal him. How? Well, it's going to be immediate. Hands on his face, hands on his head, or just saying something and bam, he's healed. That's not what Jesus does. At that point, I'm going to break them into groups and get them to identify the stages of this healing. What happens in what order? And then we'll look at why. So the first stage is removal. He removes the man from the village, and he never returns to the village as part of his story. He's told not to. So the first question is, why? Why does Jesus remove him from the village? And of course, there's a couple of answers to this. The first one you're familiar with is Jesus is trying to downplay the whole, oh, you're only looking at me for signs and wonders. You're not truly believing my message. So he's removing him from the village. That's happened a lot of times in Mark already. There's a second reason, though, which is I've not heard it taught, and I won't make a huge deal about it, but I think it is important, which is Jesus is mindful of his additional needs. He's mindful of his disability. This is a blind man in the middle of a village. A big group of people have brought him to Jesus, and can you imagine if he can suddenly see, surrounded by light and people and noise and all sorts of complex shapes and distance and perspective and bumping into things. I think Jesus actually removes him from the situation. So first off, Jesus is all he would. So first off, Jesus is the first person he'd ever see, which is kind of awesome. But also, it's less overwhelming. It makes the miracle a nice thing rather than just a traumatizing thing. The second stage is spitting. You've got to love that Jesus spits in his face. Spits on his eye is what it says. In another gospel, he spits on the ground, makes some mud, whaps it on his face, gets him to wash in a pool. Slightly different story. This one is he spits in the guy's eye. My group at this point are going to discuss why. What is it with this ritual? What is it with this action, this thing? And we'll talk about various options here, but the main thing is to sort of break up the healing into two zones and give it something physical to go with, to go to a guy who can't see anything. It creates something through touch and physicality rather than just saying something or waving his arms around. I think actually that element of physical ritual is quite important in this story. So then the big question, why didn't it work? Was Jesus broken? Does he need updating? What's gone wrong here? Why isn't it working? Why does he have to do it twice? At this point, we're going to reach into the latter stages of the story, which is just beyond this, when Jesus is talking to his disciples and he's asking them, well, who do people say that I am? Who do you say that I am? And Peter goes, you are the Christ. Great. Peter's got it. He's seen it. He can see clearly he's right, but he's not. Because just after that, when Jesus has said, and part of me being the Christ is sacrificing my life for you, Peter goes, no, that's never going to happen. And Jesus rebukes him and says, you haven't got it yet. You've seen a little bit, kind of like trees walking around, but you haven't seen clearly. You haven't seen the full picture. And this is starkly contrasted with the story just before the healing of the man blind, when he says to the Pharisees, you've got eyes, but you don't see. Ears, but you don't hear. And there is this sense of there's stages to seeing. There's seeing clearly and there's seeing a little bit. And I think what we need to understand from the story here is this metaphor that full belief and understanding of Jesus doesn't come immediately. Knowledge of Jesus isn't, and particularly a full, comprehensive, complete, and always theologically correct, doctrinally sound knowledge of Jesus doesn't, that's a big sentence, doesn't always come immediately. And there's plenty of times we just might be wrong. And the importance here is Jesus walks with the man. He's responsive to his needs. And Jesus' response to all of this section of Mark, and this is one of the most important sections of Mark, because it gets over the hill of the Transfiguration story in chapter 9 and then goes down towards Jerusalem, and the whole story speeds up. But particularly here, Jesus ends a section by saying, if you want to follow me, you've got to take up your cross and move with me. Come with me. be alongside me, be in my narrative, be in my story, be in my journey. You might not have it all clear, you might not understand it all perfectly, but you believe in me. You know me, you walk with me, you understand me and my mission on the cross. That's what it means to be a Christian. So a big part of my take-home challenge today to the young people in the room is don't panic if you haven't got it all yet. Don't panic if you only partially understand. Don't panic if you don't know what all the answers are yet. Don't panic if you feel like, I can only see a little bit. I haven't got it clear yet. It's fine. It's fine. Walk with Jesus. He's incredibly respectful, incredibly responsive, incredibly caring, incredibly compassionate, and he loves the journey. Wherever you are, just walk another step with him. And a lot of this passage is about believing. I think St. Chrysostom, what he said about this story was, it was done in 2 stages, so the man would first believe before the fullness of his miracle was given to him. And I love that idea that we're called to believe, trust, and the nature of belief means we don't always have all the answers. We don't always have the whole story, and there's still a journey yet to walk. And that's roughly what I'm going to say to my teenagers tonight here in our what's called Redefine, our youth group session. Hopefully that was helpful. A bit of spitballing, and my arm is incredibly tired now. Next time, yes, tripod. I'll see you later.